Okay, good afternoon again, and welcome to the Liberian View Discuss. And today, our topic today is Sunday, January 26th, and our topic today is an analysis of the recent appointment of the president of the University of Liberia. Today, we have with us our special guest, also on the panel, our own Dr. Fatima Grease Kwekwe, and also joining us will be Reverend Dr. Edwin J. Lloyd. We also have on our platform Mr. Felix Wilson, who is a member of the Liberian View. Having said that, we'll start quickly with Dr. Fatima Kwekwe, who will just briefly introduce herself. We'll hear from our own Mr. Felix Wilson. I know most of you have heard from Felix so much that every time we come on this call, he will introduce himself. I think that's the right thing, Felix. I know you enjoy introducing yourself like the little Peking that love Liberia at heart or have Liberia at heart. So we'll turn it quickly to Dr. Kwekwe for her to introduce herself briefly, and Dr. Reverend Edwin Law will be joining us later on. Today is his birthday. We want to give a shout out to him. And having said that, since the appointment, the reason why we're having the discussion, because since the appointment of the president of the university, there have been a lot of concerns, a lot of questions about what the Alumni Association is doing, what are the transparency, does the appointment undermine the opportunities for qualified Liberians? What is the impact on our national identity? And whether it was, in fact, whether the whole process was transparent. In fact, what was the process used to qualify? These are some of the questions that, that people are asking and discussing. And you have every right to discuss. And so we decided to come to you all and discuss and give you some points of food for thought and looking at yourself in a foreign land, working in the system. So if you are there, you are an alumni of the University of Liberia, friend of the university, please join and hear the voice of your own alumni association president, Dr. Kwekwe, who will also be elaborating and giving her own perspective when it comes to this particular discussion. But if you want to join us, please you can join us at www.facebook.com/ the Liberian View or www.facebook.com/ at the Liberian View. So please join us there, and you can also use our chat to ask some questions. Having said that, I will turn it to Dr. Kwekwe to briefly introduce herself, and the next verse you'll hear will be Mr. Felix introducing himself, and after that, we'll give the floor to our own Dr. Kwekwe, President of the Alumni Association, University of Liberia in the Americas. The floor is yours, Doc.
Thank you, Lucy. My name is Fatima Greaves Kwekwe. I I am the president right now for the Alumni Association in the Americas. I work here in the States. I live here in Jacksonville, North Carolina. I've been here for a few years now, and my heart is still in Liberia, and so being a part of the University of Liberia Alumni Association is something that I'm very passionate about. I don't know how much information you want me to give you, Lucy, but so far that's who I am.
Okay, thank you so much. And so we asked Mr. Feller just to say briefly something about himself, and we will move on to the discussion.
Can you hear me? Can you?
Yes.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. Dr. Kwekwe and Madam Care again. Good to see you and to share this platform with you. My name is Felix Ronald Wilson. I live in Woodbridge, Virginia. Have an MBA. Have couched my career here in program/project financial management in the government industry. But in short, all that aside, I am a philanthropist at heart and love to be viewed as or known as that Peking with mad love for Liberia. So Look forward to the discourse this evening. Thank you.
Thank you so much, the Pekin that love Liberia and always available to discuss issues relating, very important issues that relating Liberia. Okay, so having said that, we just ask our own president to just give us a view on the topic, and the floor is yours.
Um, well, first, I will let you know that the University of Liberia Alumni Association in the Americas mission is to give back to the university. So when it comes to politics of the university, or we don't participate in that. Okay, and so at this point, we are really excited that we have a new president, because all we want to do is to work with someone that will move the university forward, bring the university back to where we know it to be, one of those universities that will go and be proud of all over the world. And so having a new president for us as an alumni association, we are very excited, extremely excited for that.
Okay, we know that. I mean, we're glad to hear that you're very, very excited, but there have been certain concerns regarding, um, other Liberians that did apply. I think there was a list of applicants, and people are wondering how was how actually were they vetted? Uh, are we aware of the vetting process? Was there any transparency? Is this something that the Universal Library Alumni Association can feed in, or do they have the jurisdiction authority to participate in such a process?
Um, no, we do not. We do have They do have the board of trustees, that there is a seat on our board where we have alumni association there. So the Liberian Alumni Association, there's the part of the alumni association as is in Liberia. The president is on the board of trustees. Um, for the University of Liberia Alumni Association in the Americas, we getting our footing, so we are more geared towards collaboration, walking hand in hand with whoever is at the rim of the university, and we are there to help in whichever way we can to support the students at the University of Liberia. But we are not involved in those processes because they are not part of what the alumni association does.
Okay, so let me move quickly to my colleague because today, Felix, Mr. Wilson, because today we're supposed to be analyzing, looking at it analytically, this particular appointment, and when it comes to looking at Liberia, looking at qualified individuals that when you look at the list that was submitted and that was printed out, I think is for the public to consume. And based on that, we will turn the floor to Mr. Wilson to, from his perspective, to really give us an understanding or his perspective on the whole selection process. Uh, do we have was she the only one on the list that was more qualified? Even though we understand that the alumni association, part of the job of the alumni is to support funding or anything that is lacking, anything that the University of Liberia is able to do here to support them when it comes to their education, the environment, and stuff like that. But when it comes to decision making, I was just wondering because someone was saying that in case this person, I mean, what steps would the University of Liberia Alumni Association in the Americas take if the person was not qualified, or maybe doing a gap analysis of the other qualified Liberians that were listed with her qualification. Why was she selected? So, Mr. Felix, the floor is yours.
Well, let me just say, Dr. Quickly, we're not going to let you off the hook that easy.
No.
uh, we invite you to ignore the hat of being a part of the Alumni Association and speak as a concerned Liberian, right? Someone, and you can disassociate your words from your alumni hat and say
The president
this
hat.
is the person talking, right? But anyway, hopefully, I will say something that will prick your interest and get you to go there. Um, I will first want to say I try to invite one of my friend and colleague, and I think you know him very well, Dr. George Williams, to be a part of this panel. He said he would prefer to listen in versus join, but I really hope he was on here because um, when we dialogue on this, one of the um, things that came to mind, a platform that he participates in, they explore this topic in depth. I mean, for several minutes, if not an hour or more. And my friend Dr. Williams was took the position of a nationalist, right? Pretty much believing that we should be in control of our own destiny. And so, someone of Liberian origin, born in Liberia, should should have been the one chosen for such a high institution as the University of Liberia. And he gave some very salient points in support of his position. And he did not denigrate or lower the qualification of Dr. Mapayan, who was elected, but he did give a good backing for his position, which I respect. Notwithstanding, I want to caveat my comments by saying a couple of things about the University of Liberia because I was young back in the day and did not have, I think because of the war, I did not have a chance to attend the university. But as far back as 1988, 89, and even before then, prior to the war, the image I have of the University of Liberia is going on the campus to visit my first cousin who was attending there, George Wilson III. And I think he was in an economic class, and I had gone to find him, and I was shocked. And you're talking about over 30 years ago, right? I was shocked to see people, students, standing on the outside of this big window, taking notes during the
TS50.
lecture session, right? And I'm like, oh my God, this is a university. So talk about the overcrowdedness that that picture presented to me. It wasn't a positive one. And then secondly, I recall after the war, I had graduated high school and sat for the exams at, I think it was at CWA campus. And that was the most difficult public exam I've ever taken. And it was so funny because after I experienced the examination and was waiting for the results, it was the same time I got a scholarship to come to the U.S. And I was so happy because the thought of failing the exam and not making it into the UL would have been so devastating, right? And shameful, but I'm like, thank God I have to deal with that. So I have no clue if I pass or fail. But here we are, full circle, right? And I would say this. I would say I support the hire. And one of the reasons why I support the hire, I feel like Liberia is in a position where we need to throw, for lack of a better term, the kitchen sink at our
You
problem,
good to listen?
right? Everything we can get our hands to, anyone that's willing to help, we should welcome them in. Um, I took some time to do a little research, and one of the things we look for when we consider the foundational blocks of universities such as LU, right, is we look for things like a strong academic foundation, right? One having world class facilities, a rigorous curriculum, and cutting edge research. And then you want a diverse and inclusive environment, where the student body is comprised of people from all walks of life, various countries and cultural backgrounds, right? Inclusive culture, accessibility, right? Um, you want a robust infrastructure, modern facilities, technology, financial resources, a strong community that foster engagement, right? Partnerships with businesses, governments, nonprofits, other universities, outreach programs, and then vision and leadership. It has to be clear what your vision is. Um, Compelling vision for the university's future, strong leadership, continuous improvement. And after looking at these attributes, the next thing I did was research Dr. Malpayan and just to see what's her background, what she's made of. And I've heard a lot about her already, but boy, she's well traveled, she's well learned. She's taught at multiple universities, the Georgia State University and University of Georgia before going to Wesleyan College. She leads the Global Fund for Women, and she's also obviously served as a Fulbright scholar there at the university. So she has some um, familiarity, right, with the setting in which she's now called to lead. And so when I look at that, I think she has the credentials. She's strong. She was born in New York, and New Yorkers are tough-minded people. So if anybody, I think that can handle that role, I think she can. Um, and considering she's also married to a Liberian, so she has a good understanding of the culture. So it's my hope that the wealth of experience she brings, the um, experiences in terms of the university credentials, and even her fundraising experience, right, will serve the university well, right, and she'll be able to bring back the prestige and the glamour that once was, right, UL. And so that's our hope. And I'll rest there for now with additional comments to come later.
Yeah,
Thanks.
I was wondering. Thank you so much for that. Someone just asking a question: could marriage to a Liberian qualify uh, qualify the understanding of a university culture or university or Liberia culture, their setting? Could that? Can you?
I mean, I, in fact, I hate that I even mentioned marriage, right? Because I think it has no bearing on the person's qualification. But to those who are concerned about her not being familiar with the culture of Liberia, I think that being married to a Liberian should give them some sense of assurance that she's familiar with the culture. And one thing I forgot to add, it's amazing how things come full circle. I didn't get um, authority to disclose this, but I've been working a project behind the scenes for which Dr. Mapayan used to lead the board of directors, and so when she got appointed, everybody on this project I'm a part of was so excited. Oh wow, right? And I was like, how what a small world we live in. She's well known, and aside from all of the things that are out there about her, there are other even more impactful things that she's had and been involved in as it relates to Liberia that's not well known. And I cannot disclose that because I did not get authority to do so. Thank you.
Thank you so much. But I mean,
Well,
this question will go to Dr. Kwekwe. Dr. Kwekwe, you want to say something?
no, go ahead.
Yeah,
Ask the
the question.
question. I can maybe I can include it in what
Yeah,
I'm going to say.
okay. The question is, does her appointment diminish any sense of ownership or connection between the university and the broader society? Does it diminish our Liberians, the concerned Liberian? Like, does it diminish any ownership?
I would think not, because the University of Liberia because most of the questions that you be those different questions that you just called like read out. Okay, first thing, the University of Liberia doesn't have any bylaws that says that you have to be a Liberian to be president of the university. First thing, that's not there. Okay, it doesn't say anything about you having to graduate from the University of Liberia to be a president of the university. That is not there either. Um, I would tell you, but we have to, for where the university is right now. Since let me give my personal because
Thank you.
Felix wants me to move away from being the University of Liberia Alumni Association's president in the Americas. I I mean that first, and then personally, I think that for me, people still asking questions: is she able? Why was she take over somebody else? For me, not shape herself. Okay, she's there.
Yeah.
So what can we do at this junction is where I'm at. So that question about who she is, where she comes from, what can she do, what can she bring to the table, that was something we discussed before, and I know where I'm at. For me, I'm excited. We
Mhm.
have somebody there, and we can work with us with that person. If the University of Liberia Alumni Association, ULIBA in America, I joined the Alumni Association in 2017, and we have worked with every president that have been there. We don't ask questions where you come from and who you are. So from Dr. Dennis all the way to since I Dr. Dennis all the way to now Dr. McPire, we have worked with everybody. So wherever way we have to work. I know you gave a list of things that are supposed to be at a university, things that we're supposed to be doing, research, all of that. As the University of Liberia Alumni Association, ULIBA, what we want to do is to be able to and dwell into those things, to be able to make sure that we can help in any way we can to make that university progress, move forward, get better. Okay, and I mean, I will tell you, I was principal for the Center Resource Convent in 2000, was it 1997? I have to think back and I'm getting old. But I did not graduate from Center Resource Convent.
Okay.
I graduated from St. Mary's in San Nicolas. And then the bishop appointed me to go to convent as principal, right? I had the same mixed feelings that were coming from several of my colleagues, people that went to convent. What they had to say was that I did not graduate from the school. Why would Bishop take somebody who is a stranger
Yes.
to convent and make that person principal? But that's not what I went there for. I went there to do a job, to do a duty, to do a service to the children, that the girls that went to convent. And that's how I see this. So for us Liberians right now, what we should be doing is to putting our arms around this lady so that we can move the university forward. Because right now the university has there's everything at the university, everything's wrong. There's so many things to do, you don't even know where to start from. And, so still dwelling on if she's qualified, why they didn't pick a Liberian is not where I am at all. As an alumni of the university, that is not where I am. Besides being the president for Uliba, personally, I am at the point where whatever I can do to make sure she succeeds so that the students at the University of Liberia can succeed is where I stand at this juncture.
Okay. Thank you so much. Actually, on this platform, what we usually like to do is to make sure that people that are listening get information that because in any decision, selection, appointment, we have people that are on the fence that say, "Oh no, this we got a lot of qualified Liberians," you know. So if I mean, why they didn't select almost some of the people that were on the list? Why her? I mean, and they have every right to think that way. However, what can you say, Mr. Felix or Dr. Kwekwe, what can you say that someone that is on the fence, like, oh, like you're Liberian, you graduated from high school, from school there, you went to LU, did all that, and then you went there as principal for convent, and they had all that to say. So what about a higher institution, like someone who married and not a Liberian? Maybe they became a Liberian because they're married to a Liberian. What can you say? What would be some of the benefit that you foresee, because you've worked, we've seen presidents come and presidents leave, but what is she bringing on the table that is so different? Because like we said, Liberia really need help. We need
Right.
lots and lots of help. We need support. We need subject matter experts. If we can get it from anywhere that will come and build our capacity, we should be open to it. But we had a list of people that applied. So, what is she bringing on the table, or what would be the benefit of the University of Liberia? You are here as president. What do you think is the benefit? Because we know what are some of her responsibilities, but what is she bringing as a person to the university that she was selected? What do you think she's bringing? What do you know that she's bringing that will benefit, that will make me to say yes? The most important thing is, yes, we got somebody who qualify and they bring in XYZ. What do you think? What do you think? I mean, from talking to her, interacting with somebody that know her, what is she bringing differently?
I think one of the things I would say is her experience. Her experience is not just from one college, okay? Because now you know that the University of Liberia, we have to interact with internationally. We have to be able to be on par with other universities internationally. So her experience that she's bringing to the table from the different places that she has worked and supported, bringing that to Liberia. I
Yeah,
think that's one of the key things that she brings on the table.
I would add to that. I want to piggyback on something you said, Dr. Kwekwe, um, about the experience at convent, and I mean to quench that concern about a foreign person coming to a school or university. We see it all over the world. I mean, here in the U.S., where I went to college, one of my best professor was a Nigerian, right? He was head of the business department, and it had a profound impact on me. Even growing up in Liberia, we had several Ghanaians and others teaching us. So I think people need to get beyond that. Um, the other thing you said, you mentioned the plethora of problems and challenges the university is faced with, and you asked the question, where do we start? I consider that, and I think I have an answer. I think uh, number one priority should be instructional excellence, right? I think the core should be provide the best in every subject area of study that the university is going to offer to our students. We should provide it at the highest level possible. That means hiring the best and the brightest, right? And making sure we are attracting the best and the brightest to come to our university. And we should be very careful. Yes, we know it's a Liberian university, mainly for Liberians, but we should be careful to try to attract international students as well, because all of those um, the, develop a melting pot mentality because that adds value, right? It adds value to the makeup of the university um, and grows the status of the university. But to Lucy's point, last question, I think I would encourage anyone out there with concern to Google this lady and read her bio. She brings a wealth of experience, and in fact, um, for lack of a better word, I'm dumbing it down, right? But her experience, she's written several books focused on women empowerment and development, and where better place to do that than in an African setting where even in today's society, women are still looked down upon, right, and not given their fair share of leadership positions in society. So she can have a real impact just in that one area. We know how much the university needs funding. Her wealth of experience, being the head of the Global Fund for Women, and her connections, I think, will pay dividend for the university. Um, and so to anybody who's concerned, I think uh, we should give her some time. But I don't see a concern for me. I think with time, she's going to bring development to the university. And then I would add to those who were on the list, everybody obviously cannot be the leader. But just because you weren't selected does not mean you sit on the sidelines. If you really love the university and care for the university, to me, there's a place there for everyone. We need the best. We need the best minds. We need the most educated. We need research minded professors. And if you were on that list, you probably check all of those boxes. And now is not the time to sit on the sidelines or go somewhere else because you weren't chosen. Go be a department chair. Go be a dean. You know, uh, you may even craft a proposal to start a whole new a study program, right? If you have that type of experience. And so I encourage the people who applied because it shows that they have interest in the development of our people, of our young people, and the university to go find ways to get involved because that's the only way we'll move forward. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Dr. Kuke, do you have anything to add? Because I just wanted to look at another question here regarding, is there, um, I know that the appointment or selection process of a Universal Liberia, Universal Liberia president lies within the purview of, I don't know, their board, and then um, the president appoints. But do you think there should be a plan? Because I can say there is there. Do you think from where you sit, and Felix, you can chime in, from where you sit, whether there should be a plan or any future plan in grooming Liberians, as especially for that particular role, or whether there's no need. Do you think there's a need to for future, because we don't know the the selection process. We don't know what are some of the criteria that were used. We know that she's educated, We know that she's experienced, but uh, you think there's a need to groom Liberians, qualify Liberians, so that when they are there's an opportunity that they can also have an opportunity to serve. Because I know that in the Washington D.C. metropolitan area, we have one Dr. Wulu who graduated from the University of Liberia to came here, and then he's working. And I think he has contributed a lot to our community, the Liberian Association. During my term, he served at the as the honorary board of governor. He also did apply, and here he works with the federal government. He's a statistician, mathematician, you can name it. Very good, smart young man. And he also applied, could not. Do you think there's a need? And so other Liberians also were there. You think there's a need to have a future plan in grooming? I don't know whether the president, how actually is done in Liberia. There's a plan to groom Liberians for such a position, especially qualified Liberians too that are experienced, that are exposed, that graduated from the university. People feel that if you're from there, you have more interest, and you have there's a sense of ownership, that this is where I came from. These are the wars that I attended, and these are the wars that made me for God first, that made me who I am, and so I must give back. And the understanding or the question came from the background, the fact that we all attended the University of Liberia. We see the need to come together as a group. We see the need to do some research surveys and see what is lacking. Some people do some gap analysis to see what is there, what is not there, how can we support here and there. Notwithstanding, we don't. I mean, I think I learned today that we are some part of some board, but I don't. But we don't have a saying in the who governs or who does not. I'm thinking that there will be some increase in our giving. There will be some way that maybe a year or two from now, that we can look at a building or maybe a class, a college, and say, okay, we're renovating the college, we're doing this, we're doing, but yet instead will not have a say who will be the president. But do you think there's a need? I mean, let's forget about who is there now, because that's a given. She's there, she's elected, she was appointed, she's there. And we all are going to work towards making her successful by supporting her. I'm all in for women empowerment, but also I'm also looking at whether there's a need to groom Liberians so they can be in the know. What are the criteria? I mean, I know those who apply, they were in the know and they apply. But those who have not yet applied, what do we have to say to them? Maybe they intend to do that after this tenure or whatever. Maybe after 6 years, who know, the government change.
I think that's where most of the concerns come from. But I would tell you, Liberians are qualified. It doesn't have anything to do with Liberians not being qualified. Okay, Liberians are qualified. I don't think we need to groom anybody to be the University of Liberia president. We have a lot of qualified Liberians that can do that. Um, I think. I mean, Felix, if I'm wrong here, you can correct me. But I know that the university before was not the thing that needs to happen is that the president of the university shouldn't be appointed by the president of by the visitor.
Yes.
I think there's a process that's supposed to be going through, and what happens is that all the past years we got away from that, and we got to the place where I don't know which president it started from. Is it if it was Doe? I can't remember where it started from, but then the visitors started to appoint presidents and it started to go on. So first and foremost, the university has to go back to being an independent institution,
Mhm.
Institution. Mhm.
okay, away from the influence of the government having to make decisions for the university, like appointing a president. Go back to where you have your board of trustees and They sit together, get their names, and then they make those decisions from that, from that end. And until we go back to that, you will always have appointments coming from the president. And if that part can be taken away, I mean, that's where the issue is. But it has nothing to do with Liberians not being qualified. We have a lot of qualified Liberians that can be president of the University of Liberia.
So that you raise a good point, and I don't have the details on the process, but so I stand corrected. But I believe there was some selection committee, right,
Right.
that was set up that viewed all of these applications and I think made a recommendation for the appointment. So on that note, at least there is, uh, I would say, some fallback. The president can say, I didn't just pick
Pick
somebody,
somebody, right.
right? They were all vetted and a recommendation was made. But I do agree with you. If the board of trustees were not involved, that's something they definitely would want to go back to. I just want to say this to your question, Lucy. I do agree with Dr. Kwekwe that we don't need to grown Liberians for that role because if you're qualified, if you want to be, you should, at a minimum, the minimum qualification, you should know what it takes to be a university president or that caliber of an institution. But one of the things that we tend to focus on a lot is are the credentials of a person. But for a university such as ours, at that level, I think that the key ingredients of a person to lead that university is someone who has real strong and have demonstrated strong leadership skills. They got to be one of the top in terms of management, managing people, people skills. Then they have to have a worldview knowledge because at the end of the day, for the universities such as ours to be successful, we have to be connected worldwide, right? You can't just focus just on Liberia. No, the impact got to be establishing sister relationships with other universities, well-meaning universities, reputational universities around the world, where we can exchange ideas, exchange students, right? Student exchange, even faculty exchange, if possible. Um, I think that person has to have that reach. So even if it's a Liberian person, that person should have been someone who's traveled a lot, who's taught in other places, and has the understanding of what it takes to lead a university because it's a it's a country all by itself, and you got to be able to have those skill sets to be successful at it.
Like Dr. Kwekwe stated clearly, we don't have like a non-governmental structure when it comes to the selection process. So we wouldn't know how the selection process was done. The only thing we know, we got a president of the University of Liberia. So I don't know the individual that is representing the alumni association on that board. Maybe they could share as to the criteria that were used. Because to be frank with you, we've been supporting the University of Liberia for a long time, and we've been coming together to make sure that some of the needs are met. The Alumni Association, in even within the United States, here build their school, support their school, reconstruct their school, provide academic researchers to go to the school and make the school better. And so, for such an institution, one of the oldest, I think 1862, College of Liberia, and then was it 51? Became the University of Liberia, right? 1951, something like that, became the University of Liberia. So at this point in our history, and the fact that The university have a lot of graduates that are abroad that have really advanced in when it comes to education, technology. I mean, research. They work in every walks of life on the continent. They are also good managers. For us not to know the selection process and what the government will just go appoint somebody to be, I think we in the diaspora to work. We need to work with the Liberian University Association in the ones on the ground, the local alumni association to make, to really look at it and see that this appointment thing by the government, I don't think, I mean, from our perspective, I don't think that's the right way to go. If the board of trustees can be well supported and empowered, and we, the Alumni Association in the Americas, be a part of it. We also have other Liberian, we also have other alumni associations in other, like in England or other countries, to come together, and to support the university. But the selection process for the, like, appointing and that, I mean, this is already gone. It can't, it's there. So we all going to work, we all going to support. But other people have every right to think about it that way, that there should be some structure. We if you support and invest your money, there should be some return, in a sense that you have a voice. You have a voice. You know what is expected. You know who's supposed to be president. You know the criteria to become president. You also will look at those who have also contributed to the university. People left from here, they've taught at the university, they've contributed financially to the university. And those individuals that were not even thinking about being president, but today they are not selected or they are not appointed because it could be political affiliation. It could be people are thinking that way. It could be like, oh, political affiliation. It could be a friend of the president somewhere and stuff like that. So to me, I think as we move forward ahead to make Liberia a better country and to make our university to be one of the best, the selection process has a lot to do with it also. And it really have a lot to do because people, I'm glad that we're having this discussion because people are thinking, what are the criteria? I mean, you listed some, but what is the official rating criteria to become a president? There should be one, you know.
And I'm sure there is, but that's what I was trying to say, that gradually over the years we went away from that, and where the president got involved in making that appointment. So to be able to even get back to where we thinking it should be or what it's supposed to be, this university at this stage and at this point in time need to get back to where the university needs to be.
Yeah.
I mean, things have to be done. There's so much wrong. And there's so much things that need to be done. Curriculum, um, infrastructure, you name it. Okay. So at this point in time, those are the thoughts we have, but the university have to come back to be able to be an independent institution, like
Institution.
to run itself, you know,
Right.
and we're not there.
So, as much
You
as
think?
I've applauded and Dr. Mapayan, her resume, and I'm a proponent of her being the head. Now I have to offer one critique.
Right.
Uh, and yes, my critique. And Madam Chair, you've heard me say this here many a times. I thought we lost an opportunity with the Ellen regime to set Liberia back on a foundation for success. All right, and we continue to do that. We we need to be patient, but very intentional about where the direction we want to take the country. And I think through up to three presidents now, we continue to throw band-aid on our problems as opposed to rooting it up from the root, pulling it out and replanting and germinating it so that it grows. The same applies to the university. When I saw her first action was, I think, after her inauguration, when she went on campus to, well, I think the university had been closed for some time, so they reopened. She went on campus and visited the classes and met with students. Well, I thought the university should have stayed closed and that she took a more critical eye of what they had going on there, right? And revamp it if possible. Don't continue as usual. I don't think she was hired to continue things as usual. I know some would say, well, you don't want to uproot or stop the people who are in line for graduation or whatever, or delay them. Well, sorry, folks, that's the type of tough decisions we're going to have to make if we want to improve our country. We have to be patient. And we know some of the ills of the university today, that people are not passing entrances. A lot of those people, students, are, bribing their way into getting into the university to begin with, right? I can even go further and say there have been allegations of people paying for passing grades and those types of things, right? And so all of that needs to be cleaned up, right? The entire university, just like our overall country, in my opinion, needs to be overhauled. And it's strategic development, right? The university is going to be only as good as the students that come in there to learn. And our educational system from kindergarten up to 12th grade is broken. There's no if and about it. We know that. The children are not being taught well. All right. And so you have people graduating that still cannot read and write properly. And then most of them find ways to get into the university either through someone they know or through paying their way, whatever. And how can a professor work with somebody like that? Right? I would submit to you if they did a evaluation of the entire student body, there may be a need for creating some type of ad hoc department that prepared the student, right, for university education. And so that was my only concern, that hey, we can't come to this thing thinking that it was all already being done well and continue as is. Everything needs to be looked at from the instructional, like Dr. Quickly said, everything. I mean, we know
Yeah,
infrastructure is a given.
yeah.
But,
I know that
you know,
everything, needs to be relooked at. And um, however, if I am a child, a student of the University of Liberia, and I graduated, and part of my aspiration is that I want to serve my institution, and I'm given the opportunity to come to the great United States or England or Canada or wherever, get a scholarship to do my doctorate degree, and I want to go back to to serve. And my dream was, look, I want to one day be president of the University of Liberia to serve them. And I've been giving and doing everything. What they this appointment by presidents, don't you think that hinders people's growth? Because I think the speedy need of having a structure, like Dr. Kwekwe stated, it is very urgent that the university should be really detached from all this presidency and be an institution by itself so that it can have a structure. Because we have left, but we have others that are there. So there's no role model. There's nothing to look up to from the university for Liberians that are in Liberia, or those that have come here and done education. They have a dream. I'm just looking at, and I agree with you all 100%, because we need a structure at that university, because there's you can't. No one has some aspiration to say, I'm aspiring when I finish, I will be president. No, you are not, because you have a president that will appoint. I mean, she's qualified. I'm not saying she's qualified, but I would just appoint somebody to come and be there, because at the end of the day, to me, we all are on this platform saying that, yes, we have more qualified Liberians and they are qualified. However, they were listed. None of them were appointed. So that means if you are not selected, that means you did not meet certain criteria. So I don't care how we try to sugarcoat it. You sending your application, you dare do your due diligence to make sure that your application went through, but you were not selected. So if you are not selected, that means you didn't meet certain criteria. So to me, we need to really see the criteria that was, even though it is not the Alumni Association, we don't have that authority. I don't know which authority we even have anyway. We don't have that authority to say, okay, this is the person we want. Yeah, we don't have it. That's good. But however, I still think and believe strongly that I will want to really see the criteria that is listed, that qualifies someone to be the president of the University of Liberia. Everything that the other past government have done, that's it. It's gone. We finished with that. But if we want to start afresh, if we want to have a proposal, because I think the Alumni Association is so powerful that they can also work towards coming up with some proposal. But we want to see what are the criteria. We want to see if somebody wants to lead us. We are here supporting you. But if somebody wants to be the president, what is the criteria, so that Liberians here or in Canada or England can say, oh, these are all the criteria. We need to be exposed. We need to travel a lot. We need to work on projects. We need to be internationally connected, even though we live in the States. But,
Researchers.
yeah. So we need to be internationally connected. And we've worked areas in the federal, in the local, we've gone around doing projects. We are leaders here. So what was lacking from those that were listed? They were not selected. So I think even though we may not have the jurisdiction, or I don't know what the rights are, but what were missing, that individuals, especially from the United States, uh, that were not, others were not, they were not selected. What did they lack? I mean, we've already done the selection, the appointment. We're working towards to working. We must work with our president. However, for the future, going forward, what was missing? I think we
Madam
need to
Chair,
know. Yeah, go ahead.
I just Googled uh, the qualifications used for selecting the president of Liberia.
The president of University of Liberia.
University
The president of the University of Liberia,
of
I'm
Liberia,
sorry.
right?
So that was used, right?
And
That's
it
what
took,
was about.
it took me to a site. There is a posting from the office of the president. And if you would allow me, there's a two-page document that of the vacancy announcement for the president for LU. And the qualifications listed here, I'm going to read it real quick. It says specifically the successful candidate should possess and demonstrate broad leadership qualities and experience, including the following: at least 5 to 10 years of proven leadership and management experience in a senior position in higher education, an earned doctorate from an accredited institution or its equivalent, a strong commitment to academic quality and excellence in teaching, research, and service, knowledge of and sensitivity to the unique needs of higher education in Liberia, high ethical standards, a demonstrated ability to articulate the mission and needs to the various constituencies of the university, including the students, faculty, staff, alumni, and collaborating partners. An enduring ability to listen to students, faculty, staff, and the university family as a whole, and to create an inclusive environment characterized by collegiality and shared responsibility. High commitment to and the ability for fundraising and advocacy for increased support from government and sources such as concessions, corporations, foundations, and major donors to sustain the endowment fund of the university. Building and maintaining productive linkages with institutions of higher learning and education support organizations at home and abroad. Demonstrated commitment to academic freedom and shared governance, and appreciation and understanding of the dynamics and nuances of Liberian cultural, social, and political environment and its effects on the university. So
All right.
those are the qualifications listed.
Yeah. Just you reading those qualifications. Now, they might have had a list. I don't know those people. I'm not downplaying anybody, right? But you might have had a list of 22. First thing, even when you apply, when you send your application to HR and they're looking at the qualification, the first thing they cut down that list because they start to place people, by levels. They cut down to like from that 22, maybe they went down to five. Let's say from five, they go to three before they pick one. So everybody could have had a doctorate, they have done their doctoral studies and they are on that list, but have they done research? There are a lot of things that they have to look at. So it's not just, okay, because I've done I have a doctorate degree, that's all to it. And, that makes me qualified. So they had to do their due diligence of looking at that list and cutting it down to where they came to have for
Mhm.
her to be the one to come on top.
Right.
Okay.
See? So all of those things are being done. But better yet, let me just challenge you here. Even the three of us here, who's ready to go home? Who's today, if you have, I'm telling you, because we have a lot of educated uh, doctors in education and so forth that are here in the United States of America. Are they ready to go to leave their jobs here? Let me be frank with you. Leave their jobs here where they are right now and say, okay, I will sacrifice and go to Liberia for the university. Not many. Not many.
Mhm.
So even though we might have this conversation, we're having this conversation because we want to make sure that we help bring the university back to where it needs to be, but we have to ask those deep questions of ourselves if we are ready to be able to go back to Liberia and, sacrifice and go back. Because I tell you, I talked to somebody that I felt was like ready to go to Liberia and be, to take what a university. And he said frankly to me, I'm not ready to leave my job here to go to Liberia, especially the way we were talking about a government appointing you, and after 6 years,
You're
you're
gone.
not there anymore, and I got to start all over. The person not ready for that. You
Yeah.
see, so all of those things they take, are part of the things, part of the issues that we have. We're us not as Liberians not being ready to make those sacrifices ourselves. We're not ready.
Yeah, but like I always, Dr. Wulu, the one asked me to call his name, but I'm going to call his name because he served in a capacity as Honorable Governor of the Washington, D.C. Metropolitan Area Liberian Association. And he did apply. And he works here with the federal government, has a very decent job on home. His children, and one of his in fact, his daughter is a medical doctor, and he has done well. He wanted to go back home, but he was not selected. So I mean, after reading the selection criteria, we've seen it, and I'm hoping that what was the link? Can you talk? Can you just say the link so people that will be listening later on can go there and read? Because this discussion is to give you provide you information, what is going on, how this election was done. Those who are listening, you also heard that, these things happen. The
Right.
institution is tied to the government. The government president makes appointment, and even if you take your list, they will review your application and filter it. Even with the government, yeah, you answer all the ranking factors. They employ you based on that. If your resume meets it, and then after various, they come to three, and then two, and then one, and then, but then, so those who have future plans to lead, you can go on the website, Mr. Wilson. What's the name of the website there?
It's emansion.gov.
Hey, wow, that's from the executive mansion too.
Yeah, emansion.gov
Okay.
dot lr, and it takes you to the document directly, two-page document. And another thing, to Dr. Quickly's point, as far as weeding out or cutting down the candidates or the number of applicants, there are six re, um requirements, right, for submitting your application. And if you miss one of those, that's a disqualifier right there, right? You got to submit a letter of interest or vision statement of not more than 1,000 words, right? And have all those things, single space in MS Word with 12 font, the font size, the type of lettering, a certified seal copy, you know,
Yeah.
current curriculum vitae, three passport size photo. So all of those things, if you just
Yeah.
miss one, it could
So,
disqualify you.
yeah. So if you were not selected, go and check that website, emansion.gov.lr.
Yep.
You will see the documentation selection, the Universal Liberia President selection process. Read it and see maybe where you went wrong. And as our alumni association president rightly stated, we all should come on board and work with this person because it's gone. And secondly, if you look at her resume, she's highly qualified also. She's qualified. She has international connection. I know some of you in the United States, you have that. I know I can attest for Dr. Wulu that he has that. And you work in high places, she also did that. However, it is a selection process, appointment by the president. And so that's what happened. So you can go and read more and then see even the fact that you're not selected and you applied and you should be part of the alumni association, but you're not very active. I think it's about time that you be active and support, and then maybe see after 6 years, as you will be asked to serve, or maybe by then the structure have changed, whereas we are independent from the whole politics and from the government, and we have our own board of trustees, whereas the alumni association will also be
We
a
do have a
partaker in
board
that.
justice. I
you
mean,
know yeah.
I mean, that's what I'm saying to you. There's a seat on the board of trustees for alumni
Oh, okay.
association, and there's an alumni that sits on that seat right now,
Oh,
and Martin Brennan. So there is a seat on the board trustees.
okay, then that's
You
good.
see, um, if I'm sure I'm right that even the panel that was put together to come up with names that of people that could serve as president, there was a student leader on that panel. So it wasn't like it was just
We've been left out.
people that, yeah, they were left out
Okay.
basically.
Yeah. So those that are
President,
listening, you've heard it. Go ahead, Mr. Wilson.
no, I was just going to add, though, is one thing we got to get used to as Liberians, too, is to learn how to accept losing, right? And I don't call it losing because you may be just as qualified as the next person. And the challenge becomes two persons not serve. We have to choose one,
Mhm.
right? And sometimes it's a
Mhm.
toss-up decision, and it can be tough at times. But we just have to learn to accept when we're not chosen, but continue to stay in the fight and not stand on the sideline or criticize just because we want to. Our criticism should be justifiable, it should be constructive, and not one just to create noise, politics, or division.
Okay.
That's what I was saying. I agree with you, Felix, on this because at this point in time, the university needs all of us, every one of us, regardless of or where we are. All of us are needed right now for the university to move forward. In the little ways we can help, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can imagine the amount of University of Liberia alumni in this country, and we still having the same maybe 150 persons that over and over trying to do the work to get the university, to help to give back. The same people over and over. Okay, but we sit and we talk about these things, and talking about it now, I think we need to leave from just having those conversations. We're right to have the conversation because our views and our um input in the suggestions, all those things are good, but we have to put them into practice. We need to not get involved in practicing those things that we're preaching
Right.
to get a university off the feet, because I'm telling you, it's just it hurts our hearts to see that after the war, I mean, God, the university was improving. We're not there yet, and then the war came, brought us back. How many years back, and we still where we were after the war. Okay, there are a lot of things to be done. I mean, I listened to Dr. Mark Myers' a whole interview on ELBC the other night because I purposely set my alarm and got up so I could listen to that interview. And you can see the amount of work that is needed: curriculum, class size, bathrooms. I mean, just you name it. Because bathroom would be like, you just name it. There's so much that needs to be done. And so, for me, instead of us just, why didn't they pick a Liberian and move on from there, and to see how we can help make this work will really, really, really be helpful. I think that's where I am.
Yeah, I think you're very right, and I personally am not like against her selection. I'm just I'm not. I won't use the word against. I'm just hoping that in the near future there should be a more structure that is more inclusive of the University of Liberia themselves instead of the president making the appointment going
And and,
forward.
and, and don't get me
And then,
wrong, I'm
mhm,
not dismissing
mhm,
those concerns. I'm not.
yeah,
Because the concerns are then a genuine concerns, you know. But how do we fix that? Our university has to excel for us to be able to fix that.
yeah, yeah. So I just want to say that we cannot, we, especially if you're in the diaspora, you live in this great America. We have Liberians who have served as presidents of universities here, um, who are professors at universities. We have some of our colleagues who are directors for government, federal agencies, doing
I
very well.
challenge them to go home.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, we can't be questioning, or especially when it comes to the presidency of the University of Liberia is supposed to be Liberian, not this. I mean, yeah, I mean for ownership and nationalism, the pride or who the president. I mean, right now we're not even at that level because I always tell people, when we were growing up, our parents took care of us. Our family members support us, uncles help us. And I can tell you, they didn't need any money from us. But now, because of the war that came, everything, everything in Liberia just broke apart. It fell apart. And how can we bring those pieces together? Children are supposed to be children are now the breadwinners for their family. You can see a 15 years old, 14 years old girl in this big car, because I know that in those days things were happening and people used to be like sleep with younger people and give them money and feed them. But there was a point where you can get scholarship, where your parents can send you somewhere, you stay there and go to school because your father used to be responsible to pay your school fees. But the father that used to do it lost his job, cannot even get a job to take care of his home. So at the end of the day, things are changing in Liberia. And we are just praying to work together to make it better. So if we have someone like the new president of our University of Liberia, we need to be grateful because she's sacrificing a lot to leave wherever she's doing in New York. Someone said that's where she used to work, and different projects she's been working on to say, you know what, I will work and serve this university. Who knows? Maybe she will be the one that will set the pace, the foundation to even detach us from the government and make us the proper institution we're supposed to be. To set the standard in a way that for you to even enter the university to pass the entrance, you will really, really study to pass. So she may set the standard. She may change a lot of things that we need, that we're dreaming of. So now this is passed. At least we got the website that you need to go to. So having said that, I really want for us to go about. 1 second, please. Okay. I really want for us to go around here, and I will start with
Mr. Wilson.
that Mr. Wilson to let us know
Because
that I am listening to this discussion and I am on the fence for best reasons to myself because I'm a nationalist, because I love Liberia so much, and I have a master's. I don't have a doctorate degree, so I have a master's, I have a doctorate degree, and I should have been the one in that position. And I'm a little bit hurt because if you go for any competition or any job opportunity, and if you don't get it, there's a little bit of pinch somewhere because you really wanted it. But what will you tell me? I apply, or I know that my father or my sister, my cousin, my whoever applied, they didn't get a job, or none of my family applied. But I feel that this would uh, uh, not appointing someone who is Liberian from our definition, uh, will we will not feel that there will be no ownership, no sense of ownership. But my thought is, if a Liberian was a qualified Liberian was appointed, there will be some sort of ownership. But I can give an example of ownership. The burning of the Capitol building, it was not done by some non-Liberian, it was done by Liberians. Um, the amount of money that have left that country in people's coffers, it was done by Liberians. So where's the ownership when it comes to that? So what do you think that after see everything that go on in this country, what do you think you can that people will should take away from the discussion, that they will tell the story tomorrow, or they will go and think differently about this whole aspect of the selection process? I know the appointment process, I'm not for that. But what people think about why they even bring one Liberian. In fact, some people even thinking why a woman said. Liberian were thinking, they went and put a woman there. Those who are thinking that way, what the message do we have for them? Because some people think, I remember when I was president for this community, one of the board members asked me, where your husband? Because I used to go by them, we're married. And, so my husband used to accompany me once in a while to the meeting with the board. And when they asked me when I went there, where your husband? So I said, my husband, why he come? So I'm like, my husband is not the president. I'm the president. So that way of thinking, so maybe some people are not only angry because the non-Liberian thing, but maybe because she's a woman, who knows? Because I experienced it too. Go ahead, Mr. Olsi.
Yeah, I mean, there's a saying that a prophet is not honored in his or her own home, and that saying, interestingly, can be used as an argument for both sides. You know, what do I mean by that? Yeah, let's assume it was a Liberian that was selected. We know, I mean, it's documented. We don't respect each other. We don't respect our own. I mean, we respect the foreigner, quote unquote, we respect the Caucasian more than we respect our own people. It's not they say, I experienced it. Okay. Back in 2007, when I visited, I went to Firestone and I stopped by the clubhouse to get some drinks on a very hot day. And the clubhouse were open, but we walked in and they said the drinks were exclusively for the folks who were out there playing golf. And when I look out, of course, who were they? All Caucasians, right? So I'm like, wow, in my own country, I cannot even buy a drink. At the airport, I drove there to pick up someone, and the guide said I couldn't enter. But then a Lebanese guy pulled up, and they waved him through. Right? So things like that happen all the time. And until we learn to support each other and try to value each other, we're always struggling that way. So that's an argument to be made for why I wouldn't want to even put a Liberian in that spot, because that's an added burden that he or she would have to deal with, just dealing with his or her own people, not listening, not following his or her advice, having to be a little bit more stern just to get your word across. And given the situation of the university, you don't need that added pressure, right? Um, and so to those people who are concerned, I say again, back to my earlier comments, we need a kitchen sink approach to our problem, and I think this appointment does that. And there will be lots of opportunities for Liberians to take control in the future. Um, but we have to right the ship, and hopefully Liberians are taking note, right? And then one last comment I would make, which is a little sidebar, Madam Chair, and that is, and I've heard Dr. Kwekwe talk about the the need for support and coming together as Liberians. And we've been talking about this over and over again. Well, what better centralized pivotal institution to support than the University of Liberia, right? We've been talking about what is something we can rally around. It should not be left up to the Alumni Association in the diaspora. No. We have EULA, we have other organizations, right? I've been looking to see what this diaspora arm or office that's linked to the Office of the Presidential Affairs is going to do to unite the diasporans around a single cause. And I'm going to go out there, not on a limb, but on my word, and tell them now, this so-called return of the diaspora or whatever, it's not working. Okay, I'm sorry, I hate to be critical all the organizers for what they are trying to do, but that's not the answer, right? It seems to me more partying than real serious business is being done. And it's time to scrap the partying, folks. We've got to roll up our sleeves. Our issues are not to be played with, they're serious, right? And we have the means. The hundreds of thousands of us in the diaspora can raise millions of dollars if we were serious to bring about change in our society, secular change in the University of Liberia. Why can't we galvanize around that? If the Diaspora Office of the Presidential Affairs is looking for something, grab onto that and ensure a change. That's something you can sell, right? That's something we can buy into as Liberians. But we have to be serious about it. So I'm going to rest my case. Thank you.
Okay, rest your case a little bit. Dr. Quicker will be the last to at least give us like what she won for those who on the fence, regardless whether you're part of the Alumni Association or not, but you're a Liberian in the diaspora and you're looking at this issue and you'll be watching this particular discussion. The thing is, what should you understand and what is our position as Alumni Association? Not all of us buying the same thing that the president is saying, but at least we all need to learn from this and pass and know that this appointment is there. So the discussion is now the closure of what you need to understand and what is going on and how you need to help the university going forward. And Mr. Wilson said it very well. But I think we have one of our friends that just quickly joined us, Councillor Summers Scott Gibson. uh, I think she want to say a few words, and the president will close up, and then we'll call it a day. Councillor
Yeah, thank you.
Gibson, you have 2-3 minutes to just say
Hi,
a few
hi
words.
everyone. Hi, Madam President. Okay, I've been following the, but I can't come on. But I've been listening. I'm happy hearing the passion that we all have for our University of Liberia. But I will tell you that when it comes to the identification of the president of the University of Liberia, we must understand that during the regime of Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, the university charter was revised. And I was on that committee headed by the late Councillor A.B. Jala, Sister Laurie, and so forth. It was revised. And during the revision of the university charter, I was the secretary anyway to that committee. During the revision of that charter, it was proposed and accepted that a such committee be formed to recruit the president of the University of Liberia. And that was done. It was carried on until during the presidency of President Weah, wherein Dr. Nelson came in, not through the search committee, but all along since that time, the search committee brought in, it was during the presidency of, no, I think it brought in Dr. Dennis at the time. So there's always a criteria set. I'm happy that my brother identified the e-website. They have a set criteria, of course, for the identification of the recruitment of the president of the University of Liberia. And the president of the Republic of Liberia has nothing to do with it, just a formality that after the search committee have gone through what they want to do, they have scaled down the number of persons, as our president said. Of course, there were some very qualified people. I know one, I don't want to call his name, but he was he was there, but he went in late. But he's president of one of the other universities. So it was highly challenging. And at the end of the day, this lady was recruited. And the question of why a woman, I remember when I entered the University of Liberia during Mary Anthony Brown's Shemo time. So yeah, but it was just with it not too long. She left, but she was there. A woman has been the president of the University of Liberia, and I can tell you she did extremely well while she was there. So, and this lady, seeing her her credential, she looks highly qualified for the position, and it has nothing to do with Liberian and so forth. That the constitution of the University of Liberia is aligned towards the constitution of the Republic of Liberia that states, anybody can be a citizen of Liberia once they are of African descent. So she's an African. She's a descent of the African race. So um, she is eligible to be the president if she's qualified and identified by the selection criteria. But you all have said it right. We need to galvanize all of our efforts, come together, and see what we can do. We do have a memo, and it was during a time of the revision of the university charter that we proposed that two university of Liberia Alumni Association members be on the committee. One is permanent, and one will be voted in. I know Fatou Chipote was the permanent representative. I don't know if she's still there. But as I used to tell Melvin when he was the president, there are a lot of things that we need to do. There are a lot of things in place at the University of Liberia that we need to do, that we need to make our presence felt. How do we make our presence felt? How can we consolidate our effort to make our presence felt, that when decisions are made in Liberia about the University of Liberia, they can count on us instead of us just, fighting among ourselves, not disagreeing with people, not constructively. Yeah, it's good to disagree, but we need to come together to have that sense of belonging, because it is our University of Liberia. It is for us. But we cannot sit on a fence and always ask, well, why this American woman? Why so? And you're right, Lucy. A lot of people have been questioning that. Why is she? What is she more qualified than other people? Of course, they have other people who are more qualified, so to speak. But are they interested? Are they ready to go home? So those are the things that we need to look at and see how we can help ourselves. Being more nationalistic, like how you are speaking, Lucy. I can feel the passion that you would like to see a Liberian there. I'm sure all of us who are so nationalistic, patriotic, that's what we want to see. But can everybody be like us? That's the question, But let's see. I hope our president will work collaboratively with her to ensure that, that woman to woman girl, meet her and let's talk. Make your presence felt. And I know you can do it. So I just decided to come in to say a few words on the University of Liberia selection or recruitment of the presidency, that we need to do more for ourselves. We need to stop the too much talking, and let's act. Let's act.
Mm-hmm.
Thank
Thank
you.
you so much. Thank you
You're
so
most
much.
welcome.
When it comes to her being woman, I was the one that stated that. I was just making an example when I was president for this community. When I used to go to the board meeting and someone said, "What's your husband?" I just made the assumption that maybe some people may not prefer her because she's a woman.
No,
I
you're
was
right.
just, yeah.
I
So
saw it
that's
on
what I was saying.
Facebook too. I
Yeah.
saw I
That-
saw it on Facebook. Is she strong enough to face the students at the University of Liberia? I saw it. We were all in a discussion. So
yeah.
you're right.
Yeah.
It's good that you brought it up, because other people think that way too.
Mm-hmm. It's sad before the president come in and give us her final word that that I think that Dr. Quickway and Felix Wright stated and you seven councillors Gibson joining us, we need to support one another. We need to really sincerely support Liberia. regardless of who the president, regardless who is the president for the Alumni
Exactly.
Association. When there's a
Exactly.
call for something, we all need to put our hands together. Even if you can't attend, some of us, we fail sometimes, but we need to really pay our money for the development of our country. And we need, if we don't support one another in this United States, especially, we'll not be able to gain anything in Liberia. Trust me. We'll not gain anything in Liberia. We'll not succeed in Liberia. And you cannot succeed by yourself. If you try to downplay somebody so that you can look good, it won't work because you won't go nowhere. The Liberia that I know. So let's learn and work to work together. You don't have to like me, but we can still achieve something together. So we'll turn it over to the president now to give us anyone that's sitting on the fence, or you're not sitting on the fence, but you didn't have a clearer understanding. You've learned a lot from the discussion. But let the president tell us where, because we already finished giving the website to go and read. And other resources also can be found there. And what we're going to do later on, the president is going to tell us what you need to take away from the discussion. And
Yeah.
that the
Well,
floor is yours.
Selma, thank you for coming on because I mean, some of the things we were discussing, you kind of like made it clear for us because when we're talking about the panel that was formed, right? I know there was a panel, but knowing that it was part of the revision that was done really helped us, understand it a little better. I know one of the things I was laughing at, Councillor Gibson is still on. So if I'm wrong, Councillor Gibson, please correct me. But I think the Liberian Constitution says that if you marry to a Liberian and you declare your intentions, you are Liberian. I mean, we declare our intentions here too, and we are Americans. So I mean,
That's a good one.
yeah. On a serious note, that's what it is. I think after a year, Councillor Gibson, I think after a year, you can declare yourself in the court and you okay. So you don't know if
Say that again.
the Constitution of Liberia
Uh-huh,
says
yeah.
that if you're married to a Liberian, you can declare
Yeah.
yourself. Yeah.
Yeah.
So okay. So besides that, what I want to say is that there are, like I said before, there are a lot of Liberians in the United States that are from the University of Liberia. Either you graduated or you attended. Once you have an ID number, and
Yeah.
this should concern you. Okay, the Alumni Association. I mean, it's just being the same group every year struggling, but there are other ways we can help the university, not just money. You might have the resources of how to write grants for the university, etc., etc. There are different ways you can help. You might have that international contact
Yeah. Connection.
to give back in other ways.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, the Alumni Association right now, ULIBA is trying to find, I'm sure it'll be like I think it's next month that we're thinking about. We're about to have a membership drive. And we'll be reaching out to every, we expect that at least every ULIBA member should go out there and bring somebody in. Because we need everybody, all the hands on deck. And so as much as we can talk about it, have the passion, we need to get involved in doing. And once we can get involved in doing, we see the product of our efforts. So for me, I will continue encouraging people to get involved, to be a part of what's happening. So as we get our concerns and we talk about it, at the same time, we should put those words into practice. Thank you.
Okay. And so we want to just take this time to say thank you to Dr. Kwekwe for, when I call her and say this is what we're going to be discussing, please can't she just say yes? I am so, on behalf of the Liberian View, We want to say thank you for coming to discuss, because having you on the platform just qualify the discussion, because at least you're speaking for the larger population of the alumni association members within the United States. So we want to say thank you. And I also just want to also extend regarding what you said, membership drive, bringing in people, to Mr. Felix Wilson. We want to also talk to those who took the exams to also join and send us some money,
Lord,
because we need it. Because I mean, the president right here, we got some of our lawyers, one of our lawyers on the call too. Please, you're a member, come join in. This man is a financial guru to be able to help us and to face a structure or even design a system for our membership. So having said that, I just want to go back to the president again to say thank you for just coming to discuss and being a part of this discussion. I think it's helpful for others to know your position, you know, to know your position, that it is okay, because like we need to build Liberia. We starting from scratch. If anyone can put their life, their family online and say, I will leave my comfort zone and move to Liberia and do this job, so let it be. And we're hoping that she will be able to set the foundation
Set the
and
tune in
the
front. Yeah.
framework that we need, that we so need, to make sure that it is more inclusive, and we be involved and engaged in the process, and then you see your money's worth. So sometimes people, I mean, others can bring in what is most needed, like Mr. Felix Wilson talked about, the respect. We don't respect one another, we don't value one another. Dr. Quickly is on this line. She's a doctor, and she has a doctorate degree. She did her research. She worked. She earned her degree. She can go back to Liberia and work there. But is she ready to go? She can go and be the president. But Liberian people always respect other people than their own people, and that's true. Things have changed in Liberia, but I'm hoping that that shouldn't be the case, because if Liberians are ready to come back to go work, really work, and not to do the same thing the other people doing, then that is also fine. So on behalf of the Liberian View, we also want to extend our thank you to Dr. Mama for accepting to serve, and we will try our best to work and be able to support her, um, in whatever way. And I will also, just before we close, I will ask Mr. Felix Wilson that one way or the other been working with her a little bit, not in depth, to just maybe extend our thanks also on behalf of Liberian View to her.
well, sure. Hey, maybe by some stroke of luck or miracle, Dr. Mapayan is is watching us, and I would say, uh, on behalf of this platform, the Liberian View, which has for years now uh, brought to the forefront issues that impact our beloved Liberia for the purpose of educating and awakening the conscience within us to do better. We want to say congratulations on your appointment, and we are rooting for you for success, because we know if you succeed, the people of Liberia will succeed, the university will succeed. So, however we can help, we are here to roll out our sleeves to help as well. And a big thank you to Councillor Gibson for joining.
But I mean,
Better late than never, because you brought a good nugget, food for thought, and some additional value, because um, we had done a good job, and I think you put the icing on the cake
Right, she
to
did.
provide valuable information to our audience. So thank you all. Dr. Kwekwe, was an honor to share the platform with you. Thank you.
I'm so honored
And
to.
thank you, Lucy, for being a
Thank
great
you.
moderator.
yeah,
Thank you. Yeah, it's a
yeah.
good,
And
yeah,
so
good
yes,
discussion. Thank you.
yeah, we want to say thank you. We always bring out, and Dr. Gibson, Councilor Gibson is always ready to come and give us a legal research work, and we appreciate it. This is not going to be the last time we call you, Dr. Pepe. We'll call upon you again, and we know that you'll come, and we welcome you. We welcome you as a team. And anytime you need something done in this light, let us know. We will be glad to host you in your team
Yeah,
in
thank you.
whichever way possible. Yeah.
We appreciate that because we know that with our desire to continue to help in making the University of Liberia better, there will be times that we'll call upon you too to ask you to please that we can come on your platform to
Oh
and
yes.
to get the word out.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's my alma
Yeah.
mater. We
Yeah.
love to do that
Yes.
anytime. Any support, we're here. So
Thank you
our
so
next
much.
discuss will be on the Sunday, February 16. We will send out our flyers on the topic. We want to say thank you to our listeners and those of you that always ask those questions. Please remain on the fence. Bring up your questions. We're here to provide the clarity and the understanding that you need. We're here to serve the Liberian people and the friends of Liberia. So we want to say thank you, and you all please have a great evening until we can see you on February 16th. Thank you all, and good night.
Good night. Thanks.
Yep.
Thank you. Good night.
Bye bye.
Good night. Let me see.